Morning all. So yeah, I'm Mark Bradley. I updated this slide about 10 minutes ago because of Taze's talk about selling your personal brand. So I've added my YouTube channel on it. So if you're here, if you enjoy me talking about pairing, you can listen to me at your heart's content talking about TDD on testing all the things. I'm on Mastodon and Twitter. I've got my phone in my pocket, so if you want to tweet how good this is, that'd really help because my phone will buzz and I'll feel really good because you're saying how good this is. Cool, so yeah, I'm going to talk to you today about pair programming. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one team's journey to pair programming. So if you were at the XP talk yesterday, it was actually this team's journey to extreme programming, and I'm just covering the pair programming bit. Before I start, how many of you have pair programmed? How many of you pair program regularly? Oh, a few, cool. Oh, there's some shaky. What's that, like just once a week? Yeah. Okay, that's not bad, cool. So we've got some people that pair program. So hopefully, there's a few people that know what pair programming is. We're going to start with the real key one, what it's not. It is not Tim and Abby smashing one keyboard with 4 hands. That doesn't work. Real pair programming kind of looks like this. Looks just like normal programming, but these two people are looking at the same code. Okay, so basically pair programming is 2 people working on one task. It's taking the idea that 2 brains are better than 1 brain. So sat there working on the same task, looking at the same code, having discussions. This is what pair programming is, 2 brains, 1 task. So there's some key things you need to see. They have 2 monitors mirroring the code. They have 2 keyboards, so each of them can very quickly take over the typing, and 2 mice so that you can maneuver the code and use it to point. So if you're pair programming, it's really important that maybe if you're not the driver, you're using the mouse to point, because if you stick your finger on someone's screen, they hate you. So that's the simplest thing, sitting at 2 computers like this. So that's what we're going to talk about, how we get to that. So a long time ago, there was a team, and there was a vast void between them. The back-end developers sat over here, and the front-end developers sat way, way over here, and they didn't talk to each other very much. They communicated via the product owner, because that's what we do. We'll get some requirements, we'll pass them out, and we'll work out what happens. This wasn't working very well. And the team needed to come together and work in a better way than throwing stuff over the wall, going, we've built you an API. And the Android developers went, this is not helpful. So we needed to come together and change things. So what happened was what's called an offsite meeting. For those of you who don't work in big corporates, an offsite meeting is really, really exciting. It's a meeting in somebody else's meeting room. Okay? The faces are covered to protect the innocent, and also so I can control them, because they love this talk. They're shocked by this talk. But we came together, and we started to learn about extreme programming and some of the principles. So we were in this other person's office for some days, 2 days, and we had talks like, 2 bed heads are better than 1, an introduction to pair programming. Testing all the things, an introduction to TDD. Don't forget to stretch, an introduction to agile. And kind of people talking to us about these great things. We're like, okay, this sounds good, we're good with this. Our brains might have melted, but we're good with this. We're good with this. Okay. So after this time had happened, the magic wand had been waved. We were going to be extreme programmers now. We were going to do cross-functional pair programming and stuff, which is all good. So we celebrated. There were cakes and images of beer were had. Okay, so this is what's happened. Okay. Obviously, this was the end of the week, so the weekend happened. We might have forgotten some things. But we came back, and remember that divided team? Well, now we were ready to be a cross-functional team. We're going to work together and communicate better. The iOS devs, and we were all going to sit closely together. There were 2 of these. We didn't sack people. So that was good. We were ready to be cross-functional, extreme programmers. We were going to pair and work on things together. We came in, we're like, okay, we're ready for planning. I'm just going to back with that. So, some back-end, some Android, and okay, here's your tickets for the sprint. Yeah. Okay, hang on. There was a weekend, but let's think about it. Yeah, I remember this. 2 heads are better than one. We can talk about things. That's good. Oh, we can test things. Yeah, we're going to do testing. This is good. We're going to be agile. This is good. That's what we were missing. I can't do this. I didn't learn this. I want to be Monday morning, I'm going to do this. This person's very happy. It's like, okay, very happy person. He's got loads of tickets, or maybe not so happy, he's got loads of tickets. Anyway, so our agile coach asked us a question. How can we help the Android developer to develop these tickets? How can we work as a pairs? How can we do this? So the back-end developers scratched their heads. The iOS engineer, they joined us, they scratched their heads. We thought about this. We thought really hard. We were like, I know how we can help the Android engineer with all of those tickets, because he's the only one who knows how to do it. We can bring him coffee and donuts. That is how we'll help him. Them. Let's do that. Okay, cool. That is good. Do you know what happened? Actually, the idea of pair programming died for that team. We were like, we threw the tickets away. We're like, we need some PHP ones, we need some back-end ones, we need some Go ones, we need a bit of iOS work. Like, we don't know how to do this. We weren't helped to show it. Okay, so that is the story of how pair programming almost failed. But anyway, I want to talk about why we were going to be pair programming. Okay, this is really important. Okay, pair programming helps bring cross-product knowledge. When we were those vast teams of galaxies away from each other, the front end were working on tickets that kind of understood the customer, and the back end were there just going, we're going to build nice RESTful APIs, Hatios, all these things, it's going to be great. It's going to really, and the communication of what Hatios was to the Android engineers never got there. We were building these amazing APIs, they do everything, they're self-documenting, woo! But we hadn't talked to the front-end engineers about why we'd done this or how it would help them. So kind of the cross-product knowledge needed to be there. Why are we doing this? What are we doing this for? The back-end needs to understand, we're doing this for a customer. There's someone that's going to use this thing. So the knowledge of the product needs to be shared. Code quality. So pair programming is a really great way to increase code quality. So the normal way is these things called pull requests, merge requests, where someone goes and looks at your code. With pair programming, that's the instant thing. If someone's sat next to you and you're writing some code and they go, I don't like that. If you did this, it would be better. So the code quality goes up because you're talking about it, you're analyzing it, and you're making sure 2 people immediately can read the code, understand the code, and work on what they're doing. Okay. It helps with focus. Okay. This is good and bad because focus is good, thinking about things, concentrating, but we all know if we're working on our own, we kind of go down a thing, and we concentrate and we're focusing, and then the whole day's gone and we've focused. Probably not had a cup of coffee. We would always stop for coffee, it's fine. Which is good, but that can also happen with a pair. They can just go down and focus and maybe kind of get a bit burnt out doing that too much. Okay. One of the real key ones about this is short feedback loops. Okay, so everything we do in XP is to kind of shorten the feedback loop. And obviously, if I write a line of code and someone gives me instant feedback, that is a very small feedback loop. That is to the second feedback loops. Okay, so this is another reason why we do this. Okay, the other one was learning and development. Okay, when you're pairing with someone, you're going to learn something every day. Sometimes it's just a shortcut. So for those of you that, my favorite one I always remember, I've been, again, the TDD YouTube channel, a bit obsessed with TDD. And I've been using JetBrains for years, and someone went on their keyboard in front of the code, and the tests turned up. And I was like, what? Huh? How do you do that? And it's like, oh yeah, if you do like Command Control T, the tests for whatever file you're in just open. It's like, oh God, you've changed my life. So like, it could be as small as learning a shortcut, or it could be as big as going, why are you doing the code like that? It's going, oh, this is hexagonal architecture. Like, so you can, your learning kind of can go from tiny little things like shortcuts that make, your day-to-day life even like better and quicker to work, to, oh my God, what's hexagonal architecture? I need to go and learn about this. Talk to me about this. Show me this in the code. Okay, so it's kind of constant learning and development from whoever you're working with. And the great thing is you're working with lots of different people. So you're learning every day different things from different people. Okay. So let's return to our story. Do we remember? Pairing had died. No one really wanted to do it. No one wanted this cross-functional thing. They were a bit confused by it. So we saw the benefits. Some of us had seen the benefits. We wanted to be doing this. So we're like, okay, maybe let's just get some of the back-end developers. There's more of us. We're a bit of a gang together, and we'll pair together. Okay. Kind of left we weren't ignoring the front-end developers. We thought this is a safe space. We know what we're doing. Both people in the pair know what they're doing. This is good. We can work on that. Okay. So let's just focus on getting some of the back-end developers together. Okay. Not all of them. Some people weren't interested. Some people were a bit burnt by this. So just some of them. We just did it occasionally to start with. Okay, so we just brought it in, and we go, oh, I've got a difficult problem to solve. Can you come and work with me on this? Or, I'm not sure where this feature's going. Should we work on it together? That kind of worked really well. Kind of that occasional approach of doing things. It's really good. We also started then, once we got a bit more confidence from the kind of, it was more the senior people that wanted to do it at first. So we was like, oh, okay, we're a bit more confident with how we do this. Let's bring some of the juniors in and use it as a supportive tool. And that really helped. Okay, so occasionally. So occasionally we were like this. Okay, so here comes a quick tip. This is a very expensive setup for pairing. Because everyone also gets their MacBook because you need to check your emails and stuff, but we have another Mac sitting over here, an expensive screen, Mac keyboard, mice and stuff, like expensive. You don't have to start expensive. You can just move your monitors together, move your stuff together if you're in an office. Oh, we're post-pandemic now, no one's in an office. But you can move your stuff together and kind of do this, get going. So that's what we did. We just basically pushed our keyboards together, pushed our monitors together, sat a little bit closer together, and we started to slowly grow the community. So one set of monitors we pushed together, you'll see, and there's kind of that would happen. And then slowly over time, as the monitors kind of got closer together and closer together, we realized we were kind of achieving this, and more people were doing it. And the community slowly grew. There was one thing that just tipped it over the edge. Okay, just everyone went, no, I all want to do this. We all want to do this now. This, no pull requests. If you pair, no pull requests. And we won. I think at that point, every back-end engineer, at least, was going, okay, yeah, I'm happy to pair. Let's pair on this. Okay? So we removed the pull requests. It was a safe thing to do because your code was being reviewed in the same way. In fact, your code was being reviewed even better because the person sat next to you looking at the code as you wrote it had the exact context you did because you were discussing it at the time. Okay, so that was really good. Excuse me. So the next step was the back-end engineers are working on this. We need to get some of the front-end engineers working on this with us in this and do something different. And what happened was the back-end were using TDD and talking about cooling. The front-end were doing the testing, but they were listening to us talking about the cool TDD. It's cool, do it, watch the videos. But they wanted kind of an introduction to to TDD. And it's like, well, how can we do this? Okay, let's go back to those days. Let's try some cross-functional pairing. Let's see what happens. So I was obsessed with TDD, shouting, test all the things throughout the office. So they went, can you come and help us? I was like, okay, I know this thing and you know this thing. Let's see what we can do. And I sat at the keyboard. I was like, okay, what we're going to do is what's the feature we're going to do? You're going to talk me through how I do the Android, and we'll think about the TDD together. And it started off bumpy. It was interesting. I had to learn a lot of new words that I didn't know, activities, things. But we got there, and we started to test drive a very small feature. We were adding a button. It was really big, really hard. But we started muddling along in this cross-functional thing of I know something and you know something. They're different things, but we want to merge them together. Let's try it and see what happens. Let's use our expertise. And do you know what? I've done object-oriented PHP. It's just a bit like Java-y things. I know they were on Kotlin at that point, so it's a bit like Kotlin-y things. So we had similar language there. It was just the specifics of TDD and the specifics of Android where we were kind of learning together. And it goes back to this learning. So I was learning at Android, they were learning TDD. I was rubbish at Android, they were pretty good at TDD, but we got better. Okay. And this worked, and then the iOS team wanted to get involved. We want to move to full cross-functional pair programming. So we got there. We got back to that place. The magic wand had been waved, yes, and it almost killed us as an idea. But like this, I'm going to say, I sped through these slides in 2 minutes. This was like a 9-month-year journey. Okay, it wasn't instantaneous. We don't fix anything instantaneously. It never works, as the dev slide shows. But we got there. We were cross-functional pair programming. You know, it was still on the occasion and not on everything, but we were getting there. And it was really good. And we got to the point where the team were going, we need to look at our team charter. What does this team, what does a group of people we believe? And we updated our team charter to the title of this talk, Sharing, Pairing, Caring. Okay, we got to the point where everyone agreed we want to be pairing almost 100% of the time. And we did. We were pair programmed on almost all of our code. And if we're doing this, we need to be sharing. We did it because it rhymes. Sharing, we need to be sharing our knowledge. We need to be sharing the code. And we need to be caring about everything we're doing. Okay? It's like cheesy, bit American, but we liked it. It worked for us, and the team kind of lived by it for a really good time. The end. There we go. So that's what you got to do. So I've inspired you, you want to pair programming, that's all you do. No. Okay. Let's talk about some things. So, obviously, pair programming. There's lots of types of pair programming. So, first one I quite like to talk about. It's really simple to pick up. Is called ping pong. You go outside, you get a ping pong table, you start. So this one's really good. So there's been lots of talks that have talked about TDD, this thing. I know, I'm going to stop. I'm talking about pairing. Go back to pairing. No, right. So lots of people will be going, oh, well, how do I start TDD? And it's just like this. Ping pong pairing is a great way to learn with another person. You can learn with someone that knows TDD, or you can learn with someone that doesn't know TDD, but it's a very simple principle, okay? Person A with the keyboard writes a failing test, looks at person B and goes, fix it. So we switch driver. Person B, I'm not as good at the characters as Jim is. Person B makes the test pass, goes, okay, I've made the test pass, excellent. I'm going to write the next test now. Fix it. And this goes on, and you ping pong the control over, okay? And it's really nice. I really like this for learning TDD. I don't use it really very much outside of doing code dojos and learning things. It's not particularly practical kind of work. I don't find it particularly practical in a day-to-day normal delivering features thing. But it's great for doing that. And I like to take the approach with ping pong of being very competitive. So you try to write a small, tiny test. And then when you write the implementation, you go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write such small amount of code that it kind of makes their test almost pointless. So they really get into thinking about the minutiae of every test. It's really cool. Okay, so this now going into more practical, everyday kind of pairing things, we have the driver navigator. So it's kind of common terminology in pairing. The driver is the person with the keyboard who's doing the tippy-tappy typing. And the navigator is the person that's watching the coding. They're not watching the coding, they're doing other things, okay? So the principle of driver navigator is that the driver should be writing the code and the navigator should be guiding what they're doing, okay? So Clean Falco has this great thing of, for an idea to come out of someone's head, it must, for an idea to come out of someone's head into the computer, it must go through somebody else's hands, okay? So the navigator's pushing the ideas and discussing where we're going and what's next and what maybe is happening, the next test, whatever we're doing, and the driver is just a vessel for typing the code, okay? Making sure everyone's involved. This is a really good practice. I love this form of pair programming. I also use this on ensemble and mobbing as well, where kind of the driver shouldn't be writing anything unless the people are kind of going, do this, ooh, do that. Okay, so really good. Works for kind of whether you've got kind of juniors and seniors, or juniors and juniors. This works really, really well. Okay, the backseat driver. This is a great form of pairing. It works. It takes following that same principle of the driver is the person that's doing the thing and shouldn't really be doing anything. Kind of any of they're not thinking, but they're not doing the thinking without the other person. The backseat driver approach is really good, where you put the most junior person or the person that maybe doesn't know Android into the driving seat. They're doing all the typing, and the person that knows what they're doing is guiding them through it, is basically going, oh, okay, yeah, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do this. And, you don't learn without the doing bit, so you're kind of getting that knowledge in. Learning happens as you type. It's a really cool approach. Okay. And then the next one, the tour guide. This is another really good one. This is one where you might want to use when you're maybe got someone new to your team, or new to the code base, or new to what they're doing. So the tour guide is where the driver maybe takes a bit more of an active thing, less of the kind of the navigator involvement. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to talk you through the code. I'm going to talk you through what I'm doing. I'm going to tour you through this as a learning opportunity. I prefer backseat driver to tour guide, but it just depends on kind of how the learner wants to learn. They might prefer to be shown rather than kind of told. So it's kind of two ways of doing it. It's really good fun. Okay. Sorry. So let's start. So let's talk about some benefits. It is fun. I guarantee it. It's fun. You'll have fun. Let's skip over that one. I have never worked in a more tight-knit team than when we started pairing, mobbing, working as a group. You get, if you're sat next to the same person, working at the same thing, saying the same thing, you talk more than if you're on your own. So, you find out about how their kids are, how their weekend are, just that little bit more. It's really good. The team were really close and really tight. We still have many WhatsApp groups that we comment on. And we've all split apart now. We've all gone to different companies, but we still come together and discuss the project we're on, because it's still in production being used, and we like to talk about it because it's good. Here's one. Who here is kind of senior, like senior engineer or lead engineer or principal staff? How much of your time is not hands-on keyboard? You've got to be in meetings and things, so maybe it's a little bit more difficult to pick up some code, get some code written. I like pairing because it does make it really much easier for managers and staff plus devs, engineers, whatever, the kind of people that traditionally move away from the code to get more involved. they can jump into a pair, they can jump into an ensemble. If they suddenly move away from the work for a bit for a meeting, or the meetings, or a whole day of meetings, they're able to move away because their contribution was great, but the context and the knowledge can continue in the other person's head. It's really, really powerful for that. It's great for that. And my absolute favorite one as well, I found holidays became less stressful. Okay, so let me explain this. You've got a holiday coming up next week, and you've got a deadline. So you are going, I'm going to bash out the code. Come on, I want my holiday. I want to be relaxed on my holiday, so let's just bash it out. So the run-up to your holiday is stress. Or you've got this. You've been working on something, and the deadline's after your holiday. So you spend your entire holiday thinking about the thing you're going to do when you get back to work. With pairing, I find I can switch off much quicker and know that I don't have to think about anything I'm thinking about work much quicker, because I know the context is in someone else's head. If I'm sick or going on holiday, someone else will just take over, someone else will take my seat at the pair, and it's all good. I don't have to worry about it. Okay. So yeah, that was really good thing for me. Just stress just dropped off. Kind of as the XP talk yesterday, kind of showing. Okay. So, but then a few years ago, so we were pair programming, we were talking about pushing monitors together. A few years ago, something happened. We're not going to mention it. But offices started to look like this. Yeah? So all those expensive pair programming things went, ooh, no one's using them. We could try this, stick our masks on and stick next to each other. But no, we need to do this remotely. And we had to experiment fast. So we started with kind of using tools like this. Obviously Zoom was very, very popular suddenly. Teams, people still used it. I don't know what that logo is. No, that's TeamViewer and Zoom and Teams. Okay, so our first approach to this was we shall share our screens and do video calling, which kind of works. Works reasonably well. It's a really good starting place. And most of these tools allow you to kind of give some level of control of your keyboard and mouse over to the other person. If the internet's not great, it starts becoming a bit flaky. So we're like, we need to look at other things. What can we look at? And we started looking at different tools. So, who uses JetBrains products? Okay, I'll just check. Anyone use VS Code? Oh yeah, okay, a few of you. Okay, cool. So this one over here is the JetBrains tool plugin. It's called Code With Me. Has anyone used it? Oh, cool, a few people use it. I love Code With Me. It's really cool. I've also used so you've got, I can't remember what the name of the plugin is, but VS Code also does it. And the last one is a tool called Fluebits, which is really cool. So Fluebits is like a plugin that plugs into, so it can plug into VS Code, or it can plug into a JetBrains product, or it can plug into Vim or Emacs. So I'm not going to start a war on which one, but you can plug it into all of them. So the power of this one, which is great, is if you're an Emacs person and someone else is a Vim person, and you don't want to have a fight over which one you're going to use, you can plug it into, so the Vim person can do their plugin, the Emacs person can do their plugin, and you can pair like you're in your own thing. It's really good. So it's kind of, the advantage of that is it's kind of IDE agnostic, and anyone can work in their own environment, whereas JetBrains requires everyone to be a JetBrains fan, and VS Code requires everyone to be a VS Code fan. These are really cool. I really like these. At the beginning of the pandemic, they kind of, it's just sharing code. So basically, you open up your IDE, the other person opens up their IDE, they link together, and they start typing, and the code in your screen just starts moving, which is really good. And it's just got better and better. Things like I can run the tests on the remote machine, which is really helpful. I can step debug on the remote machine. You can do anything you kind of normally do in your day-to-day work remotely. And what's really good is if you're doing kind of web-y things, and you suddenly spin up like a thing that runs PHP, so you can test it and like manually poke at it. VS Code does it automatically. It just port forwards to your friend, and they can just go and kind of go, it's available. They can check it, test it out manually on their machine. It's a little bit of setup in the JetBrains products, but it works really well. And you're spinning up, and you are you're pairing and have everything available. So if you can do this and you're remote, I'm assuming most people are remote nowadays. So play with the tools again, like learn them. It takes a while to get used to it. It's really cool. Okay, some top tips. Okay, so the first one, and it came up in the XP thing, is rotate. Okay, just rotate every day. So this is rotation of the pairs is really important for the sharing of knowledge. Okay, so everything comes with practice. So as you get better with any practice, the cycles get smaller. Okay, so when you're doing kind of continuous delivery things, when you start it, you're going, okay, let's progress. We'll do every week deployments, and that's getting there. And then as you get better with the practice, okay, same with pairing. Okay, rotation of pairs is easier as you become better practiced. So maybe when you start, rotate the pairs every 2 days, maybe. You can have bigger features and stuff. But as you get into practice this, we got down to the point where we were rotating the pairs every day. Okay? So when you rotate, you need to keep an anchor. The anchor is the context holder. Okay? So you can't have a brand new anchor on a feature. You have to have someone that goes, oh, I remember what we did yesterday. Okay, you go and join the person that remembers what you did yesterday, get them up to speed, and go. Okay? And it takes practice. That handover of context, what you need to tell them, what you don't need to tell them, also becomes shorter. It starts with we're going to spend an hour sharing the context, when actually, once you've practiced, it's like 5 minutes. We did this yesterday, okay, let's go. Oh, there's the failing test we left, so we remember what we're doing next. Okay, so rotate the pairs. It rotates the knowledge, it rotates the context. Everyone gets a bit of involvement. Everyone understands every bit of the project, every feature that's happening and going through. Okay. Be patient. Okay. This definitely applies to senior people who don't go, oh, I know how to do this, and grab the keyboard, or just start jamming on the keyboard. Okay. Be patient. Okay. If you're not the driver and and you're navigating, and the driver's maybe not going at your pace or hasn't seen what you're trying to explain, just be patient. Okay. I encourage, some people I have, seniors who are very much keyboard grabby people during the pairing. I was like, sit on your hands. If you sit on your hands, you can't grab the keyboard. Okay, so learning to be patient with people is part of it. Okay, be chatty. Okay, obviously, talk about your weekend and stuff, but talk about the code. So the driver should be kind of talking about what they're doing, explaining kind of what they're doing, as much as the navigator's kind of guiding what they're doing, okay? The navigator's not telling them, oh, right, click A, do dot, function call. They're kind of giving them more, okay, they're kind of giving the conceptual things, okay? And then the driver will be giving back, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to call this function, I'm going to use this thing, I'm going to use this pattern and stuff like that. So it's constant chat. If you start pair programming and you work in an office and your entire team suddenly starts pair programming and the other teams around you aren't pair programming, they're going to really not like you because your team suddenly become very loud. But it's okay. They can move away, they can put those dividers up, or they can join you and enjoy the pair programming thing. Okay. Take breaks, okay? Once the two of you or the group of you, whatever you're doing, have started to get into that focus thing, it's very easy to slip into that. I'm just going to keep coding. They don't need the loo. They don't need coffee. I'll keep coding. And they're going, I don't need the loo. I don't need coffee either. And you just kind of, you have to force yourself to take breaks. Some people use the Pomodoro technique. So that kind of, you've got a timer and it tells you when to take a break. We started off where we were learning that we weren't taking breaks. We need to take breaks. So we had a Jenkins box that was running our builds. When the build broke, it shouted, which was good. So we went and fixed them. But also, we put some cron jobs on it. So at 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock, it told us, because we're British, go and have tea. Apart from Mondays, which was the kind of company-wide stand-up at 11 o'clock. So it announced that we should run and hide, which was funny for us, but not other people. And it also told us to break lunch and stuff. We put it there as a bit of a joke, but actually it kind of got us into that thing of we need to take breaks. The other thing is if like you're all pairing, and you go, oh, let's go and take a break. Maybe nudge the people next to you. Go, let's take a break together so that you're not spending all day just with one person. Okay. Really important one here. Laptops away. Okay. So we all have our laptops. We have our emails. When we're doing our dedicated pairing time, the laptops are shut. You are concentrating on the code. The meetings that we had were the same. You don't need to check your emails too often. It's fine, just put your laptops away. Also applies to phones. Put your phone in your pocket, in your bag. This is where the Pomodoro technique comes in really powerful, because you've got that 25 minutes concentration, then you can go and just check that, the kids are still okay, good, phone away again, stuff like that. So, when you're pairing, you're concentrating on each other and the code, avoid kind of the distractions, keep laptops away. Okay. Get a fidget toy. This is a really good one. Okay, so keyboard grabbers, if you don't want to sit on your hands, get a fidget toy. Because, the reason you want to grab the keyboard is because you're used to doing the thing. Get a little fidget toy, not something that's too loud, just something you can kind of fidget with. Has anyone seen those memes of the dads who give their kid a controller and it's not plugged in? You could do that. If you've got keyboard grabbers, just give them and they can go at the key, and it's this fine. They're getting the out and they're getting the keyboards. Get a fidget toy because it just does stop you. It keeps you need something to do with your hands. It's really helpful. Okay. This speaks for itself. Lunchtimes. There's a really good Vietnamese restaurant, and I love to add extra fish sauce, and they did not like that. Okay. I won't go into it. You're going to be really close. If you're trying pair programming and you don't want to smush keyboards together, you can just huddle up. My first experience with pair programming before this was pairing with one person. We were working on one feature for 2 weeks, one monitor and one keyboard and one mouse. We are very close friends. It was good, but it was intense. And we avoid the visuals for that one. Okay, big rule. You don't have to do everything together. Okay, yes, the production code is, but that's not all we do as developers. We're not just code monkeys bashing out code. We do other things. We have to research. We have to learn. We have to read documentation on how we're going to do stuff. Don't feel you have to force doing that together. Splitting apart, going and doing that separately is really good. I'm dyslexic. I find reading a screen of text really hard, whereas the person I'm pairing with just goes, yeah, I've got it, it's fine. So going away, getting your laptops, reading the documentation at your own pace, and then coming back together, say, let's take 20 minutes to read this, so it's okay. You don't have to do anything together, it's just the production code. And my favorite tool now I'm going to share. So when you're programming and you're working on your own, and you commit, and then someone comes and goes, who wrote this code? They can git blame. They can see you did it, okay? When you're pairing, maybe you can hide behind them. No, you can't. So we use a tool, and I use a tool for quite a while now, called git-mit. It's a really good tool. It's not just, so what it does is allows you to kind of set up, today I'm working with this person, it kind of sets it up, and then when you do git commit, it automatically adds a co-author line that gets picked up by GitHub and all of Git, so that you both get blamed. It's good. So if you're on holiday, they know who to shout at. It's really good. They go, oh, so-and-so did it. Oh, they're on holiday. Oh, that person, you did it. It's okay. But it's really good. It also gives you, it's kind of like a really powerful tool. It kind of does linting of your commits, and that's a really cool power tool. I work with a person that developed it. It's a really cool tool. Go install it. Yes. Cool. So that helps with that. Hopefully my ramblings have inspired you. This kind of is if you're interested in doing this, these are some really cool books that I like to read about it. The Extreme Programming Explained comes from the next one. Obviously, pair programming is a large part of it, but there's also lots more to extreme programming. If you weren't in the talk, go watch the video. It's a really good talk. Or read the book. It's up to you. But really good kind of coverage of that. Pair Programming Illuminated. If you're going to buy a book for its cover alone, that one I loved, but it is a really good book. It's got like a lot of academic stuff. So if you've got to convince your boss why you should be doing pair programming, or you've got to kind of counter but two people doing the same thing, that's going to cost me more money. All of the answers are definitely going to be in that book. Really good. And then software teaming. So I've talked about pairing. That's two people working on one problem. Software teaming is more than two people. This book, I'm almost finished it. Really enjoying it. Really good tips that kind of apply for pairing and teaming. Good arguments as well and stuff like that. Really good book. So if I've inspired you, hopefully go pick those up. Okay. Carrying on with the theme of extreme programming. Really important thing now for questions. Feedback. I really like feedback. One of my colleagues does a really good talk on feedback, and one of the key things is timely feedback. So I've given a talk. If you'd like to give me feedback, there's no anonymous way. Sorry, I didn't create an anonymous way for you to give me feedback, but you can tweet me, you can slide into my DMs on Twitter, you can email me, you can use Slack, or you can do this amazing thing of when I finish talking and everyone's finished clapping, you can walk up and say, hi, I didn't like this bit, and this is why. Constructive. Timely and constructive. Key things. Awesome. So thank you very much. Hopefully there's questions.
Thank you. Great talk. Any questions from the room? Yes. Excellent.
I'm going to step out the light so I can see who is talking. There we go.
Hi.
No?
Great talk.
Thank you.
My question is, any downsides? As in, you talked how great pair programming is, but what is the bad part of it?
Oh, that's good. I suppose one of the things is not everybody enjoys pair programming. That's can be a real downside. If you've got a few people in the team that don't want to do it and fight against it, that can be a really difficult thing to kind of handle. You could go, okay, that's fine, you solo on things, but you're going to have to go through PRs and stuff still and stuff like that. It could be, going, okay, well, this is the way we're going. Maybe find a team, work with a team. There are other teams that aren't pairing. So that's one of the difficulties we did have. There were people that didn't want to pair program. That was one of the big things. There are people that are not great at pair programming. The keyboard hoggers and things like that, and people that aren't very good at sharing. There's lots of things you need to do to learn to be be good at pair programming. You need to, some people need to learn to be empathetic, learn to not grab the keyboards, learn to share. I think one of the ones that kind of everyone felt was really hard was kind of letting go of ownership. When you work on something on your own, it's mine, the code is awesome, I'm really pleased with this. When you're pairing with someone, you lose that. And it's a really good thing. Like the loss of ownership is a really good thing because everyone owns the code. It's, everyone kind of involved with the code, everyone touches the code, it's really good. But it can be a really hard thing. It's like, that's why some of the people don't do it. The other one is kind of, it can really junior people. So I worked with apprentices on this as well. They found it very difficult because they didn't feel they were getting the hands-on coding, that typing the words are helping me learn the thing. And that's just into practice. So sometimes you let them do things on their own. Sometimes, you take that kind of backseat driver approach. If you sit back, maybe you be a quieter backseat driver and just let them do things. The patience is really key. Letting them make their mistakes. That's one of the things that some of the seniors are really bad of. One of the things you do is you learn from your mistakes. And if you've got some senior who's 100 years old and is a wizened old person that knows everything about coding, they're very keen to kind of show you your mistakes before you've made them. And actually letting people make their mistakes in a nice way, requires levels of psychological safety and the team to be happy. But letting people make those mistakes and then learning from those mistakes and then having that conversation kind of like that was quite difficult.
One more.
Cool.
Speaking of mistakes, two heads are better than one, you said.
Yes.
They are also worse than one better head. So as in two people can generate bugs, break production, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose the pairing came with lots of other practices in the XP. Like, the two heads are better than one is that conversation, taking it like, who talks to their elephant, like goes, oh, I need to, mumbles. It's like that. It's that thing of like bouncing the idea off. If you're working in a team of soloing people, that ability to bounce the idea quickly is really difficult, because to bounce the idea really quickly or have that go, like you've got to go and disturb someone else's work. Whereas with pairing, you don't have to disturb anyone. It's it's there. You can just have that thing and you bounce your idea really quickly. It was kind of the two heads better than one. But yeah, you still break things. You still make mistakes. That's why we have TDD and other practices.
Cool. Okay, another question over.
Yeah, great talk, by the way, thank you.
Cheers.
I'm not quite sure how to ask this question, but I'm going to try. So, for people who've been developers for like 10, 20 years, they're used to kind of internally processing, thinking about the problems.
Yes.
Do you have any advice to kind of invert that, for those people specifically, to start thinking about things out loud? Because I know when you get like really technical, deep bugs, to have someone there looking over you and try to solve a problem at the same time can be tricky.
Yeah. I suppose the key thing is practice. Like, we weren't that problem definitely occurred. Like, the driver sitting in silence thinking, and the navigator not knowing how to like get into it. Like, that happens. It's a practice. It's a practice thing. Like, it's the be chatty, be patient thing. It's knowing when to be chatty, when to be patient, and stuff like that. One thing where I work now at Armakuni, what we do, and we encourage people to do, is if we're pairing, we have an end of the day retro between the pair. Just a pair. What was good today? What was bad today? What can we do better tomorrow? Those three things are discussed. As again, feedback's really key in XP. Like, quick feedback. Like, we need to recognize that today this was bad. What can we do tomorrow to fix it? That also helps. Like, oh, you were really quiet today. What happened? It's like, oh, this was my. Okay, that's fine. Maybe let's try this tomorrow. Let's try having the conversation with our hands off the keyboard. Whatever it is. It's about working it out. And what you'll find is also sometimes you have to work that out between each of, like, you might have, you and person A pair like this. You and person B pair like this, because it's just the relationship that grows out of that pairing sessions and those pairing sessions.
Thank you.
Well, there's a fight over questions.
Any more questions? All right, okay.
Hi, thanks for the inspiring talk. Just a quick one on sort of like conflict resolution. So obviously, if you're pairing together, some people have different opinions of ways to do certain things, and that kind of obviously would involve involving someone external from the pair.
Yeah.
How would you deal with the sort of conflict resolution there? Because you're going to have to bring in another engineer, bring them up to speed with context, etc.
Yeah. So I suppose the first approach is try and resolve it inside the pair. You said, was it commit? No. Agree and commit is one way of doing it. So, what? Disagree and commit. Sorry, thank you. Yeah. Sorry. I've got my prompt here. It's really good. I've paid him quite a lot of money to be here. So kind of take a disagree and commit approach. Okay, this is kind of a really, you go, okay, like if someone's very passionate about their idea, you're very passionate about your idea, or there's just generally some passion, it can like get heated really quickly. So take this disagree and commit. It's okay, I don't think this is the right way, but I can see that you are really passionate about this way. You think this is the right way. Let's try it. Let's experiment on it. Let's go down the path, and let's see what happens. And if we're wrong, we'll come back and we'll try something different. If we're right, then great. We've taken the right path. We keep going down it. It happened to me. I was pairing with another really senior person, and we were trying to do something quite complicated with logging into tills that would randomly log you out again. And he was like, oh, we can do this, and we can build a cube, we can do this and this and that. This is really complicated. And I'm like, why don't we just do it this way? He's gone, no, I like this way. It's really, okay, that's fine. Let's do this. Let's write the first test for this. And after about 2 hours of trying to write a test, we were like, this is the wrong way. And we went to the other way and we tried to write a test, and we had the test up in about 10 minutes. And we went, okay, this is the right path. We'll go this way. So it's kind of, sometimes you just have to kind of, go, okay, let's try your way. And it takes a big person to kind of step back and go, let's try your way. It's kind of that thing, it's the confidence in being able to do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you for your talk. I just wanted to find out about the way you progressed out of the pull request process, because coming from that specific methodology of working, you have people who want to help control the narrative or the structure of the code. How did you work out of it? Like you said, it was a year process, that how it moved along.
Yeah.
How did that move out, and how was that phased out?
So the jumping out of pull requests happened quite quickly. It was one of the things that kind of came along quite quickly, and it was that kind of, we were using it as a way to get kind of the last few people on board. So, like, if you look at, like, kind of, if you read about pull requests and stuff and look at it, a good pull request and a good review, good code review, should take half the time of the code that was written, like, to get the context and get the thought and go through it. So, if you've got someone that's been writing code for 2 days, do you want to spend a day reviewing that code? Whereas if you just work together, you've got the context, you've got the thing. So, like, it was kind of more used as a promoter of pairing, because we can drop that thing. The key thing is if you can get the senior people pairing first, and they're going, oh, well, we're reviewing each other's code, this is cool. Let's just push this to main. We did have kind of, we started, I suppose, because we had the process in place, the pair would still open a pull request and immediately merge it, would be the kind of approach. It'd be open and closed in like minutes. So that's kind of the step we took. And once everybody was on board and kind of everyone, like basically every merge was open, merge, we then moved to trunk-based development. So you'd write your code, you'd commit your code, it would be there in main instantly and dwindling its way to production. But yeah, like, I suppose that was the way we did it. And some pairs were uncomfortable. They maybe wanted the reassurance. So you can go, oh, we can still do PRs if you want us to review the code. So 2 juniors might kind of like work on some code for half a day and then want some feedback on it. That's still there. That's where the rotation comes in as well. Maybe like half a day working together, bring in a senior for the other half of the day to kind of like work together and have that discussion around it.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool.
Was there one more at the front? There was.
They're making you work today.
It's the most walking I've done today.
Getting your steps in.
Well, thanks for the talk. It was great. Before anything, I would like to throw you, I think, a hard question here, because I've been doing pairing quite a while. And one of the things that I found is like rhythm. When we are pairing and when you are pairing with someone, your brain works at a speed and someone else's brain works at another speed, right? So you're having to somehow, I like to call that tempo, right? Like your brain has rhythm, someone else has another rhythm.
Yeah.
So you have to adapt. How do you have any tips? I mean, I tend to adapt to the one that is more slower.
Yeah.
So if I'm the faster one, I'll try to go slower, but I don't know if you have any other tip.
I think your tip's really good. So I'm a big hiker, like a scout leader, so I do a lot of hiking, and you always we go at the pace of the slowest person, because otherwise what you're doing is you've got half the group rushing off and one person left behind. So it comes back to that: be patient, be empathetic. Like if you're you're running 100 miles ahead, just go back and like walk with them. Like it's fine. Like it's that. It's the empathy and the kind of
Let me rephrase a bit, maybe.
Go on.
I'm more referring about how the brain works. I mean, if you are the navigator, your brain goes like, okay, now I need, when you're doing it, and you have like the rhythm, and you're pairing quite a while, your brain goes like, okay, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
So my brain start going to this file and this file, and I am saying it, but someone can be overwhelmed by it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so more overwhelming. I don't have the answer at the moment, is the honest answer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it afterwards. Anyone wants to join in that conversation, come and we'll be stood here, or outside in the queue having lunch. But yeah, I can't think of the situation, but yeah, I think it's pacing yourself, but there's probably other things I do that I just aren't in the front of my head at the moment.
Thank you.
Cool.
So any more questions?
So this is kind of different. So I don't really do any pair programming. So I was asking, have you ever used like a whiteboard? I know this is maybe more from like academia, so like this thing of using a whiteboard to just draw out ideas. Like I find this very helpful before going into code. It's just like, okay, how do I think this should look? And like or is it that like, oh, TDD takes over this process for you, or like an architecture, something like that?
Yeah, so I suppose where we're going and what we're going to do next would be the TDD side of things. Like, okay, what's the next thing we need to add? Let's think about let's code out, let's stub out what the test looks like. So we definitely did that. What was not in the pictures is we actually gave every team a little whiteboard that sat on your desks. Because obviously, if you've got
it's very convenient to like express ideas sometimes because you don't have the words. It's just like like this thing and drawing and whatever.
Yeah. The actually major tool for pairing remotely is Miro, which is like your remote whiteboard. So yeah, you just go, oh well, let's draw it out, or let's throw virtual post-its at a board. That also kind of helps as well. So yeah, it depends on your tool. Like if you're working I haven't paired with someone sat next to me in quite some time. It's just all remote now, so it's like my tooling's changed. But we used to have like a whiteboard, or you'd have like a shared notebook and stuff like that. But yeah, there's or post-its that would be all over the thing. But nowadays, we use we might have like a shared use the README to do some kind of note stuff, or we use Miro, which also means that anyone else can go and pick it up and look at it as well. If you're working on a project, we tend to have like a shared Miro board, and you just go, oh, this is our frame for today, blah, and then you can kind of jump in and look at it and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
I think, any more? I've actually got a question. I know you're all desperate to go to lunch, but hopefully this one is going to be quite valuable. I'm really interested to know Mark's answer to this. So I'm a big fan of pair programming myself. We're quite a small team, so I'm quite privileged to, that's the structure I can put in place if I want to. As engineers, if we're all really keen to do pair programming, but often the resourcing in the team is managed by someone else, potentially less technical,
Yes.
What's the best way to sell the idea of pair programming? Was it a slide I wasn't paying? Okay, throw a book at them. Okay.
Yeah, throw the book at them. Bang. Get Taze's book from this morning, really throw that at them. Was it 2 kilos of book? Yeah. No, there's lots of really good answers in here. I'm just trying to think. One of the instant thing you're going to get back is, we want to pair program. You're going to get, but I'm paying 2 of you to do one thing. So that's going to, it's going to be like why? This is going to be slower. Like I'm getting one thing for 2 people.
It becomes a commercial question, doesn't it? How do you get 2 people?
It becomes a commercial question. There's, I'd say I think you need to kind of demonstrate that it's not, demonstrate the quality. We were really lucky that we kind of had a really good senior engineering manager that was backing us on this. But if you don't, that's a really hard argument to have. That's one of the reasons I like both the teaming book and the kind of academic pair programming book, because it helps you answer the arguments of, especially the yellow one with the awesome picture. It's got actual studies that you can use. It's more efficient, and the teaming one's really good. There's less academic. It's more we saw this, but the arguments code quality is going to go up. So actually, our pace of delivery will be quicker because the code's easier to read, the code's easier to work with, the code's easier to write. So there's like an immediate thing. Because we do this, we'll be faster. So that's one of them. I realize I'm holding you all up for lunch, and I can talk for this for about another 4 hours. So that's really one of them. The code quality goes up. The shared context thing, that's obviously a win. You know, people get ill, people leave the company, all these things happen. You know, if you've got shared context, someone being off ill doesn't stall the project for any reason, especially in a small team. Like, you know, if you've got a person, right, let's stop calling them, let's call Dave and Sally, and, you know, they're working on separate things, and then Dave's ill for a couple of days, and they're like, oh, Dave's thing's really important. Sally, can you come and pick this up? Sally's got to come and, like, suddenly pick up Dave's context. Dave's at home in bed with the flu, 'cause it's really bad, because he's a man. Whereas if you're pairing, Dave and Sally have the context. Sally just continues and brings Mike in and just goes, okay, this is what we're doing, and you carry on with that. So it aids with that as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's a good answer. I think the one takeaway I took from that is, you know, the convincing and getting a trial in. So if you've got someone who you're trying to convince, actually, this is a really good idea, let's do it for one sprint and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. Let's hear it from Mark. That's absolutely brilliant.